Welcome to Walter State Community College, where we are an Apple Distinguished Program 2015 through 2017, and where faculty and students are engaged in finding ways to use mobile learning, to create, to communicate, and to learn in new and different ways. We hope that you will enjoy today's Periscope Spotlight and try to use at least one of the tools or practices in your own classrooms. Thanks.
All right, good morning to the 20-Minute Mobile Mentor. Good Tuesday morning. We were off last week for spring break, but we're back at it today. Glad you joined us this morning. We are in the Paramedic Program here at Walter State, and we're going to learn about a tool called FISDAP. You're going to get a student's perspective, and then you're going to get a faculty's perspective. So, without further ado, and away we go.
Hello, my name is Sean McHugh. I'm a paramedic intern here at Walter State Community College. Running through a couple of basic things. This is our FISDAP program that we use as a skills tracker, and it just kind of keeps us on track with what we're doing. A couple of the biggest things for us that are most helpful are this first screen here under the dashboard on My FISDAP. As we scroll down, we're able to see the various types of patients, age ranges, and things like that that we're required to have, and what we've actually taking care of. Our airway management, we can click on complaints and see, okay, how many altered mental status patients have I taken care of, how many dizziness complaints have I run into in the field. It can track our impressions of our patients, various types of skills that we've performed. We can see our success with some of those skills and kind of track and, where are we doing. For example, this is our airway management tab here. It can kind of show graph-wise how are we progressing with our skills in this. This one's showing 354 of 50 necessary attempts, and it just kind of really helps keep you on track for how you're doing with your patient contacts and your skills and whatnot. From there, we go over to our schedule tab under shifts, and that actually really lets us see where we have options to schedule days to go to clinicals. For example, I'm right here, and since I'm the only little body in that box, that lets me know I'm the only person right now scheduled for a clinical at this site. So we're able to see what are the open slots, what types are they, and that's where we actually schedule everything. And then day to day, when we go to a facility, we'll click on Skills and Patient Care. And from here, we would click on one of these tabs, which would open it up and allow us to actually track our patient information. One thing that's really nice about this is before we had the iPads in the field with us, everything was done on paper. And so once you had a patient contact, you had to go out to the nurse's desk or into the ambulance bay or the kitchen somewhere and sit down and take about 20-25 minutes and actually put all of this information on paper, otherwise you might forget it by the time the clinical is over. Having the iPads in the field with us allows us to walk into a patient room or on the truck with these devices, input our vital signs, our chief complaint, our patient age, what interventions that we had to do for this patient. And it's so fast that we can just upload this, connect it through Wi-Fi, and have it saved on this system and get on to having actually more patient contacts. For myself, I've actually seen the amount of patients I'm able to take care of in a day kind of go through the roof. I mean, some of these down here, we had East Tennessee Children's Hospital. I was able to actually have contact with 19 patients in that 12-hour shift, which before, when we were doing everything by paper, that would be almost impossible to have actually kept all of that patient information straight for myself as I was looking at it. So it's a real benefit to us. And again, these open up, so Tom would probably be able to show you guys a sample of what one of these looks like if we open it up. Most of mine are locked.
You should be able to open it if it's locked.
If it's locked? Okay.
Yeah, and you can go back and read it.
Okay, so okay,
you got
good.
A detailed shift report. There you go.
Mm-hmm. And kind of lets you know some of the information, your vital signs down here, your narrative of what transpired with this patient and whatnot.
Okay, let me ask this: what about security of the information? I mean, how can someone get in there?
No, some of the information, if you consent to it, does go to FISDAP, and they will use it for real-time analysis and for research. But no, you cannot. They have it all encrypted, so you can't get into it.
Okay.
Additionally, we have very strict parameters as students that we work within. We're not allowed to put any identifying information into this. We're able to put patient age, chief complaint, things like that, but we're not allowed to list anything that could be used as an identifier which would violate their HIPAA privacy rights. So we have to be very careful as we're going through this of what information we put in. And it's kind of nice because, again, on the paper form, it was paper. You could put anything in there. This way we've got set fields that we enter, and it kind of helps prevent you from violating those HIPAA protections.
That's awesome. And so is this prescribed, like the certain conditions that's showing up, is that already in there and you just mark the ones that apply? Or?
Yeah, there's drop-down menus.
Gotcha.
And you select, so right here I would select my patient age and whatnot. My primary impression, that would be a drop-down box that would have multiple different types of primary impressions, secondary impressions. Was it a witnessed arrest? Did we have a return of pulse? Was it an injury or was it an illness? We select what we determine the patient's criticality to be. Treatment in here, you've got your vital signs just listed on this patient, but also if we had started an IV, if we'd administered medications, there'd be a way for us to select what route for those medications, whether it be an injection through an IV, whether it was just a pill that we gave them, something like that. And it would list all of those down there, and you click on these boxes, select what type of intervention you're doing, and then there'll be some other parts that go in along with that. And then down here in your narrative section is really your opportunity to explain almost like a snapshot of that patient, of what happened from the time I met that patient until the time that I transferred care or left that patient with the primary nurse or paramedic that had them. And so it just kind of goes through with each of these patients here.
And how long does this information stay within this area? Forever?
This will stay where we can access it for up to actually as long as we want. We usually keep it for 5 years. You can go back in case there are any types of lawsuits or questions. We can go back and pull up any narratives for as long as any student was in the program. So if we've been using this for 10 years, we could pull up 10 years worth.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this would be one here where we did some additional interventions on this patient. Also received an IV, and it allows you to put it on here that in just a couple of clicks, as opposed to writing a whole thing out on paper, like I mentioned with the iPad, I can put that we successfully started an IV with a blood draw. They had a 20 gauge catheter. It is in the right hand cubicle in 1 attempt. And that's kind of your quick sheet, which makes it great for us because the narrative, you might wait to do this whole section later on when your clinical is over, but by having the ability to click on these quick tabs, I'm able to go back and see, okay, well, what did I actually do at 7:15 this morning when it's 9 o'clock at night now?
So you have the iPad maybe right there with the patient, is
Absolutely.
that? And you're clicking in at everything that you're doing. You're just moving over there and clicking that in.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas before you would have had to be physically writing that down.
A lot of times, while we're actually working with the patient, we might have a note on the back of our glove or something like that, and I had my iPad sitting over here, and then once I had the opportunity to actually take my gloves off and get my hands clean, I could go over to the iPad and directly put it in there. But whereas before, you had to remember it all until the call was completed, and then go sit down on an actual paper run ticket and write it all out.
And then those paper tickets would have gone where?
We would have submitted them to our clinical coordinator.
Okay.
And the turnaround time for them getting it reviewed used to take a lot longer. Now it can be the next day. Tom can call me up and say, hey, tell me about this call, what was difficult about it, what was good about it. So the turnaround time for us to get feedback has been tremendous.
Every narrative that is put in, I will get an email when the narrative is put in and the shift is locked. I will get that, and then through another aspect of FISDAP, I can put that this student is in this instructor's class. The instructors will also get every narrative that is put in. So you can see whatever skills the students are doing at that time. You can see if their narratives are written well, if they seem to be slacking on their narratives. Then in real time, you can get them immediately and say, hey, we need to work on this. Or that was a very good narrative, it's an interesting call. Why don't you expound on that and tell us about what happened?
Wow, that's awesome. So can I ask how much this program cost?
The school actually pays for it for the students now. And for a paramedic intern for the year, it costs $80. For an AMT, it costs $80 for a semester. And for an EMT student for a semester, it costs $30.
Wow. Okay, and how many people, it's countless how many you can put in this program at one time, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, because
Yep.
you're just paying for seats in essence.
Correct.
Okay, okay. Anything else on your side, on the student side, Sean?
Not on my side. It's been a great addition, especially this coupled with the iPads. When I first went to EMT school, we didn't have the iPads that we could take with us every day. We still had FISDAP, but when the shift was over, we would have to go into a home computer or something like that and put it all in there. The addition of the iPads with this software has really been a tremendous boon for saving time, and as well as just helping us keep everything straight, in our heads of what we encounter in the field.
Sean, does it also make it more real life? If you're working a shift at the fire department and you have to do a narrative, it isn't like they let you sign out of your shift, go home, wait a day, and do the narrative of the run you made during the shift. You have to do it while you're on shift.
Absolutely. Plus, as so many of the departments where we work out in the field now are going paperless. Where I work at the City of Gatlinburg, for example, we're completely paperless, and all of our guys have computers in the trucks, and we've got Wi-Fi in the trucks, and you're putting your tickets in as you're going down the road and documenting what interventions you're doing. So it really kind of helps set us up for when we get out of this program into the real world, exactly what we're going to encounter are these types of programs, slightly different when it's an actual patient, in an emergency situation, but the exact same type of thing where you're thinking about these things, you're working through these programs as you're treating your patient.
So really, you guys are preparing them for what's happening out there in the real world anyway, yes?
Correct. And proper documentation. Services, fire departments, facilities, hospitals are usually paid by how the documentation is written. A medical coder will read that documentation and decide how it's coded and decide how they get paid. So the better the documentation, the quicker the services get paid, and hopefully the more they will get paid.
Wow, I didn't realize that. So you all are training them how to write the narratives prior to them. I guess that's a class before they actually start doing this. Yes.
Correct. It's integrated into the class,
Okay.
and then that is one aspect of the real time that we talked about, where I get the narratives and the instructors get the narratives. Yes, at the beginning of the class, the narratives may be, for lack of a better word, lacking, but as they progress in the program, you keep adding more and more things to them. So you can see as they advance in the program how their narratives seem to change.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you a real-time analysis as to what's going on.
You see real growth in students that way, don't you? Well, I hope, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about the program? So if someone was interested in actually purchasing this, they would need to do, what's the steps?
Well, you need to be part of a class.
I guess I mean like an instructor at another college. What would they need to do?
Well, they would need to contact FISDAP.
Okay.
And then the school has a contract with FISDAP. And I believe we pay them $500 a year. And then from that, students can then get into certain classes, whatever instructors there are, and they can either pay for it by themselves and or if your school decides, the school can pay for it.
Okay.
We pay for our students' FISDAP.
Okay. And has it changed your life for the better as a student?
Absolutely. Like I said, when I went through EMT school, we were still, paper tickets, and then you'd have to transfer the stuff to an online database later on. And you already have so much to worry about with studying, and there's so much work to go into learning how to become a paramedic that this just makes it a tremendous load off our shoulders.
Someone just asked the question, is this an app also?
There is an app that you can put on your phone or your iPad, because aside from this, as we get into, we're just starting cardiology. You can pop that app open and you can upload ECG strips. You can upload. You can also get on there and fill out all of this from your phone. It's a little harder to do because it's pretty small, but you can do it.
But we know that the generation that would be comfortable in doing that, they're comfortable
Absolutely,
anyway.
yeah.
So it's
not mine, but yes.
Right. And so, what about confidentiality there with them using the phone? There's no problem with.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean we're pretty strict on the HIPAA violations as to using phones in hospitals, and we're taking an ECG strip that has no identifiers on it. not taking pictures that have any identifiers on it, and if they do, they get blacked out before they're sent in.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions out there from the viewers? Someone asked, and this may mean something to you, VISED, VISED, and a question mark. Do you know? Viewer, can you give us a little bit more information there? Does that ring a bell? Is that another program?
I guess it could be. I mean, I'd say there's all kinds out there.
Viewer, if you'll send us a little bit more information, we'll try to respond to that. Sally, I think that's you if you want to send me a little bit more. We'll give just a few moments.
But another aspect of this from the instructor perspective and or the clinical coordinator perspective, if I'm in my side of it, this is the student side, I can pull a report for the entire class of every skill they've done for the semester in approximately 30, 40 seconds, rather than have to dig through files. If you looked at the scheduler, which Sean showed you, we have clinical contracts with 12 separate hospitals, ER, labor and delivery, operating rooms, ICUs, probably 30 different services. When you start adding up the shifts that are available, we probably have over, well, we'll just say thousands of shifts available. To do that on paper would be a logistic nightmare. All these shifts here. Can you pull up another one, Sean? Just say, well, let's just do the Gatlinburg Fire Department.
And the program's name is FISDAP.
Yes.
FISDAP.net, per what I see up in
So all of these that he's scrolling through, we have contracts with all of these hospitals. And after we get through the hospitals, we'll go to field shifts, which are all the EMS services. We have contracts with all of them. And usually the contracts are between 3 and 5 years. So all those shifts are already put into the program. So if we go to like April, that way we should see plenty.
You're welcome.
So every shift that's available in the Gatlinburg Fire Department is already in here. So as the students click the shifts, it will tell me that they have this shift. Then on each shift, I have an email address for each facility and service, so that when a student clicks that shift, whoever the coordinator is with that fire department or service or facility, they get an email saying there's going to be a student there that day. So nobody is in the blind with a student just showing up, and I don't have to go through checking every day to see who's going to be where and start making phone calls. It's automatically done. If they cancel a shift, which goes through me, it will send them an email saying that they aren't going to be there.
Interesting.
So
Boy.
that works really well.
Oh, I bet that's cut back on paperwork on your side as well. Lots of connections and calling and connecting that way.
And on an instructor side and or on a college school side, for accreditation, this makes everything so much easier. Because if they want certain parameters met, I can just pull it up and they can do it electronically. They can look at it electronically, or I can print out whatever they want exactly, rather than having file boxes full of stuff that they have to dig through to try to find what they want. So for accreditation purposes, this works wonderful.
Great, great. So if you're interested in this product or anything like it, or would like to know more about the paramedic program here at Walters State, Tom, who can they contact?
They can contact me. I'm at extension 2655. They can contact Cindy Turnmeyer, John Reeves, Sandra Humphreys, pretty much anybody over here.
Okay, all right. So glad you joined. Thank you, Sean, for being with us and doing the presentation for us today. So glad to have you, the 20-minute mentor this week. I hope you've heard something that you can utilize in your classroom. See you next week.